Right. So what did we learn in our previous session?
Yesterday we learned if else switch case.
Yeah, about the different ways, how do we use switch case, right?
Yeah, the
Different
point.
ways of using switch case, and what are the problems arises if we do it wrong. Writing in between some cases, what will happen? It will not allow, right?
Yeah.
And then learn the difference between numerical switch case and string switch case. So we have learned these things in yesterday's session. Today we are going to learn about another control flow statements, that is iterations. Okay, so for suppose if you want to do the same activity again and again, you want to do some repeated activity, then we go for iterations, that is nothing but loops. Okay, so we have different types of loops in Java. One is for loop, do while, and advanced for each. Okay, so three different types of iteration statements. Each of it has a different syntax, and then we can add conditions to the iterations as well. Okay, so let's see the iteration statements. Okay, right. So looping is to execute a block of statements multiple number of times or execute until the condition is satisfied. That's what I just said now. So we use these looping statements to execute some block of statements n number of times. That n might be any number of times that you are willing to do, or until some condition is satisfied. If you have some condition, like somebody like if you have some conditions like this should be in this range, this should be not doing until this is found, something like that, then you can go with this looping statements. Okay, for example, I'm going back to our arrays session now once to show what is repeated statements. Arrays. Okay, in this arrays, if I want to print multiple values, I mean if I want to print all the values from this array, here we used to print one value, we used one index. But if I want to print all the values, what should I do? I should print using all the indexes. Right, I have to repeat this SISO statement multiple times. Right, except the index change, I have to repeat the same statement multiple times. Agree? If I want to print all the values, I have to repeat the same statement. Right? Here also it's the same, right? I printed only one value, but if I want to read all the values from this numbers array, then I have to write 6 times this SISO statement with changing index positions. So that is nothing but repeating. We are doing the same activity again and again. So that same activity can be done instead of writing in 6 lines. Like for example, if I want to, I'll write it here. If I want to print all the values from this nums array, then I have to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have to write it like this, right? 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. And then 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. You see the same SISO operation, the same print out operation. I'm doing it for 6 times to print all the values. Here it is only 6 values, so I'm able to write SISO statements. But if it is until 100, for example, there are 100 values in this. So are we going to write 100 times this SISO statement? No, right?
No.
So that is where we go with iteration statements or looping statements. Okay, So coming to the condition. So what will be the condition? For example, there are only 6 values here. But if I do not have any condition, I am iterating it unlimited number of times. So it is going to try for the 7th element in the same array, and it is going to throw an exception. But do you want this code to throw an exception and stop your execution? No, right? It has to be completed successfully. The execution has to be completed successfully. So that is the reason we use some conditions in the iteration until where it has to go, when it should stop. Okay. Do you use these iteration statements in SQL to repeat something?
While, right? We use while.
Okay, so you have a little idea about it, right? No need to give this detailed explanation about this. All right. It's okay. So we can use this looping to execute a block of statement for specific number of times. If you want to run it, this specific number of times is your condition. How many number of times you are mentioning, you can execute that many number of times. And we can use do while loop to execute a condition, to execute the block of statement until the condition is satisfied. So there are 2 ways of verifying the condition. That is for specific number of times when we are using for loop, and we will use do while loop until the block of statement, execute the block of statements until this condition is satisfied. Until the condition is satisfied. Okay, you'll understand the difference between these two once I write some sample code. Okay, this is just theoretical introduction to the iteration statements. Right, now let us see a sample for loop with some examples. Okay, right. I'm going to create a new class for us. New class C6 underscore iterations. All right. First thing is a for loop. Okay. Basic example. Print same statement or repeat. Instead of print, I say repeat. Welcome to session for each participant. So how many participants we have? 4 in our session, right? For each participant is 4. So my message is welcome to the session and repeat 4 times. Okay. So that is what I want to achieve. I want to print this message for 4 times because I have 4 participants to the session. This is just an example. Okay. So I want to repeat the same statement. So what should I do? We can use for loop. You can just type for, press Control space. You will see this. Okay, for each, for use index over array, for iterate over collection. But now we do not have any collection items. So I'm just taking this syntax, or I can directly write because this is taking some length of arguments. So it is assuming that we are iterating over an array, but we are not iterating over an array. So just I'll remove it.
What did you press? For control space?
Yeah, for control space. It will give all the options. Iterating over collection, iterating over array, iterating over the temporary variable, and then advanced for loop.
Now you picked iterating over array?
No, actually, when needed, we can pick that, but currently there is no array, right? We are not storing any values inside an array. I want to print this statement, that's all. It is not in an array. So that is why I removed everything. Okay, I'm typing or I'm using this for loop manually. I'm working on it manually. Okay, so the syntax will be this for loop starts with the keyword called for, and whatever is inside these blocks will be executed by this for block, this for loop. Okay, we have this braces over here. This braces takes three parameters or three inputs. So that is, one is your declaration of any variable like integer I is equals to 0. Okay, and then initialization. This is called as initialization. So for loop takes three things: initialization, condition, and increment or decrement operation. So these are the three things that we should mandatorily, so not mandatorily, we should mention inside a for loop. For the for loop to work, we should initialize the value, we should enter our condition, and we should perform the increment or decrement operation. Okay, so initialization is simple. Starting from where should we start? Okay, I want to print it 4, so I can start it from 1. Int some number. Okay, I'll say greeting number is equals to 1. Okay, and then what is my condition? I want to repeat only 4 times, right? So I'll say greeting number is less than or equals to 4. This is my condition. I want to repeat it until I complete 4 times. So that is why I'm writing this condition less than or equals to 4, or I can type less than 5. Less than 5 is nothing but 4, right? So until 4. Okay. But initially, what did we do? We assigned a greeting number with a value 1. And now we are saying until it reaches 5, until the greeting number value is 5, we have to do this activity. So how come this greeting number value will become 5? Somebody has to increment it, right? So that is this incrementation or decrementation operator. So here I'll keep this incrementation operator, and then I can use plus plus. To increment, I'll use plus plus.
Plus 1 we don't need to give. Every time it will keep 1.
Yeah, this one will do automatically plus 1 every time.
Oh, plus plus and plus 1 equal same. Okay.
Either you can write like this, or you can write like this: greeting number is equals to greeting plus 1. Okay, instead of writing like this, we'll use greeting number plus plus. Understood? Why should we write like this again? Greeting number is equals to greeting number plus 1. So instead of this, we'll just use the post incremental operator, that is greeting number plus. Simple, right? Understood this syntax? This is initialization. So I'm telling my for loop from where to start. So I'm saying it should start from number 1, and then this is the condition for this for loop. So I'm saying, okay, until greeting number becomes 4, execute this loop. Less than 5 is 4. So I'm saying until it becomes 4, until greeting number becomes 4, repeat the same statements. And then here I'm incrementing it so that this one can become 4 after certain time. Right? Okay. Now let me write. So what is the operation that I want to do? I want to print this message. Okay. CISO, welcome to this session. Okay. Right. Now this statement I want to print 4 times. Let's see. Is it printing? Understood? So you understood this, right? Okay. Now let me show you the, sorry.
I said yes.
Okay. So now let us see the execution flow. What is happening in this for loop? What is doing in the first iteration? What is doing in the second iteration? When the condition is being checked? When the incremental or decremental is happening? All that thing, a little detail. So I'm opening my whiteboard. All right. Now we have a for loop which is having initializer, okay, and then condition, and then increment operation. This is what we did, right? So when your compiler comes into this statement, for the first time, it is going to iterate. First time, it is going to check this initialization. Okay, this will execute, and then second step, after initializing a value, it is going to verify the condition. This is 2, and then it is not going to increment or decrement. It is going to this statement, CISO statement, or any statement that you write. Okay, here this is the third step. Okay, so it will initialize a value, and then it will go to condition and check whether that value, whatever we initialized, is matching this condition. If it is matching the condition, then it will perform the operation. Okay, after performing the iteration once, it will go and perform the incrementation. This is the fourth step. So first step, whenever your compiler is inside the for loop, first step, it is going to initialize the value, and then after initializing, it is going to verify the condition whether it is matching with the condition or not. If it is matching, it will enter into the loop and it will perform the operations, whatever you have. And then after the operations are done, it is going to increment the value. Okay, it is incrementing the value. Now, again, it is not going to the initialize because we have already initialized the value. Okay, now the fifth point or fifth place is this condition. After incrementing, it is going to verify the condition again, and then it is going to perform the operation if the condition satisfies, and then again it is going to perform the increment operation. So after only initially it is going to initialize the value, later it will iterate or it will perform the operations in these three actions, in these three places only. 7, again it will check the condition, again it will perform the operation, increment, check condition, perform the operation, increment. Understood? So this is the flow. This is how a for loop will be executed. So that is why, so after we reach the value, initially it was 1. Okay, 1 is less than 5. So our condition is 1. Yes, is 1 less than 5? This is initialized. And then 1 less than 5. Yes, it is true. So it is printing the greeting, CISO, and then it is incrementing 1 to 2. We are making 1 to 2. Okay, now it will go and check 2 less than 5. Yes, 2 is less than 5. Then perform CISO, and then incrementing 2 to 3. Right? And then now again 3 is less than 5. Yes, it is less than 5. Then it performs the CISO operation. Okay. Now increment again 3 to 4 because we are writing only +1. Increment the value plus. So that is why only one value is increasing at a time. 3 to 4, and then now 4 is less than 5. Yes, CISO, and then increment 4 to 5. Now 5 is 5 less than 5. No. So that is why it is coming out. You understood the flow of for loop?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm stopping this sharing and then I'll come back to the code. So that is what happening here. When you run this on the console, you are seeing only 4 times because the condition is failing after 4 times, right? For the 5th time, it will check for less than 5. So 5 is not less than 5, so it is stopping. It is coming out of this for loop. So this is a simple for loop. Clear? Now, so here I did the same operation multiple number of times, but now perform different action each time. Okay. So for example, I want to print numbers from 101 to 121. So this is what I want to do. So each time I should print, or each time I should print a different value. Here I am printing the same value, but I want here each time I want to print a different value, or let's make it simple, 1 to 12. Instead of 101 to 121, I am making it 1 to 12. I want to print the numbers from 1 to 12 or 1 to 20, for example. So each iteration, I want to print a different number, right? So in that case, what should we do? Again, for loop, the syntax remains same. Syntax doesn't change. So you have to initialize it. Int number is equals to, what is the initializer value that I should use here? Oh, come on.
0.
Okay, I can use 0, no problem. Okay, then what is the condition should be?
Should be
+1,
below
yeah.
5.
Sorry?
Num +1.
Oh, condition, I'm not asking about the increment or decrement. I'm asking about the condition. What condition should I mention?
Less than or equal to 20.
Less than or equals to
21.
Okay, are you sure?
20.
Yeah, because we are starting from 0, it should be 20. If you are starting from 1, it should be 21. Right. Anyway, we have to do it only 21 times. Okay, I'm starting from 1, so I'm making it 21. If you are starting from 0, you can make it 20. Okay. Then what should I do here?
Num
Incrementation. Yes, num plus. So now I'm having the code for loop. Now I want to print value is okay. Now I want to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How can I print it?
Give their plus num.
No.
Print value is plus num.
Plus 1.
No, in the there.
Okay, plus 1.
Plus
but
num.
Yeah, plus 1 only.
Plus num.
Plus num. Okay. Plus num, exactly. So if you are using this num, then only it will increase. Even if you are using plus 1, it will print for 21 times, but it is going to print the number 1. But we want to print the numbers from 1 to 21, right? We don't want the number statically fixed to 1. I want, in each iteration, I want to print a different value, right? That is 1 to 21, right? So that is why, where are these values getting changed? Inside nums variable. On the nems variable only, right? For each iteration, we are changing the value of nem variable. So if the nem variable is changing per iteration, can I use this nem variable? We can, right? We can use that variable. So I'll use that. Sorry. I'll use that num variable. That's all. Because this is the place where I'm having numbers from 1 to 21 for each iteration. That's all. Now let me run this. You see, value is 1 till value is 21. We have welcome to the session also 4. Understood? How to print this, how to perform the same action, and how to repeat, or how to have each value different in each iteration. These are basic things. Clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then now, suppose I want to print odd numbers in between 101 to 135, for example. So you know what are odd numbers, right?
N plus 1.
Yeah. Sorry, I said odd numbers. We know what are odd numbers, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
We are all out last bench student, but still outstanding student.
Yeah. Okay. So now here, instead of, see here in the previous operation, what we did is we printed all the values between 1 and 21. But now I don't want to print all the values. I want to print only few values. That is when that number becomes an odd number. If that is an odd number, I want to print it. Otherwise, I don't have to print it, right? Agree? So for this, what I can do, this is blind logic. We have two logics. So I'm using blind logic first. So what is a blind logic? If 101, if we are starting from 101, the next odd number will be? Come on. The next odd number is?
Huh?
3.
The next odd number after 101.
103.
103.
Next?
I'm going back. 105.
105. So what is the difference between 101, 103 and 105?
2.
2, right? So blind logic is increment by 2 always, right? So let us do that. For and I have to initialize int start. So from where should I start? What should be the initializer here?
101.
101, exactly, because I want to start it from 101. And then condition
Less than or equal to 135.
less than or equals to 135, exactly, super. And then incrementation here. So if I use start plus plus, how many values it is increasing?
2.
No, it is going to increase only 1 for iteration, right? But I want to increment
Okay.
it
Plus
by 2.
plus n plus 1. Okay.
Yeah, so I have to make it
N plus
start
2.
plus 2. So here I have to assign this. We cannot have start plus plus 2. It is not allowed. Only for incrementing 1, we have start plus plus. But if you want to increment anything else other than 1, then you have to write like this only. Start is equals to start plus 2. Okay? Clear? Now I want to print the values. What values? Where is the value? Odd number is. The odd number is in start only, right? Because in this only we are changing the value always for each iteration. We are incrementing 2, 2. So first iteration, what it will print? 101. Okay, fine. Then next, it is performing this operation, how many are we adding to 101?
2,
2. So what will be the number?
103.
103. 103 less than or equals to 135. Is it true?
Yes.
So it is going to print 103. After printing 103, again it is going to add plus 2. It will become 105. We'll check the condition, again print. Okay. Now let us see. See, is it printing only odd numbers? 101, 103, 105, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, 31, 33, and 35. Till there only, right? We are expecting. You're able to see the output, right? 101 to 135.
Yes. Yes.
So we achieved it. Okay. So since we started with 101, we'll be able to print this odd number by incrementing, blindly incrementing plus 2. Okay. But suppose I changed the start range from 100. Now if I run, are these odd numbers? You see? No, right? These are even numbers. Will the blind logic work every time? No.
No.
So what we have to do, if I want to print odd numbers, in any case, whatever might be the starting value, I want to print only odd numbers. I don't want to print even numbers, or I don't want to give the wrong values with the starting by when we change the starting range. So then what is the logic, actual logic for odd number?
N plus 1, N plus 2.
No. That we already did. Start plus 2. This is the logic, blind logic. But how can we identify whether a number is odd or not?
Indivisible. Quotient is remainder will get remainder.
Remainder is
Not equal to 0.
okay. If remainder is 1 when divided by 2, then that is called as odd number. If remainder is 0 when divided by 2, then that is an even number. So what we have to do? We have to divide this number by 2 and check if the remainder is 1. If the remainder is 1, I have to print it. If the remainder is 0, I don't want to print it. Understood? That is the logic, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So suppose I have
That's okay, Nikhil. You
no
can
need,
go
right?
ahead with-
Okay.
No. Just divisible by 2, that's it.
Yeah, divisible by 2. If the remainder is 1, then it is an odd number. Divisible by 2, if the remainder is 0, then it is even number. That is the logic between even and odd. So now we are going to implement that logical implementation. Okay. So here I don't have to increase 2 times. I can check each and every number, right? So what, okay, logical implementation here, I want to print all the odd numbers between 30 till 61 or 30 till 62, print all the odd numbers. Okay. Now what will be my initializer? Come on.
Okay.
What is the value? What will be my initializing value?
3030.
30. Yeah. And then condition
Less than or equal to 62.
less than or equals to 62. And then incremental or decremental, how should I use num is equals to num plus 2 or num plus plus?
No, we are dividing, right?
Yeah.
We are dividing by 2.
Yeah, we are dividing it, but we cannot perform the dividing operation here. We can do either incrementation or decrementation, increase or decrease. Now we have to increase one value each time because each number we have to verify, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so we are going to use num plus plus. We cannot use division here. We have either incrementation or decrementation, but not division. Okay. All right. So now what I have to do, I have to verify whether this number when divided by 2 leaves a remainder 1 or not, right? So division number percentile 2. Okay, just for your understanding, I am printing this as well. So here in Java we have two things. Okay, this if okay, see, so num by 2. Okay, this will print or return quotient value, and this will print or return remainder value. Okay, so we have division. If we use this slash num by 2, then it is going to give us a quotient. Okay, and then if you are using percentile, it is going to print us the remainder. Okay, that is the difference. So now here, if I want to check whether this is an even or odd, so what should I use? Remainder, right?
Remainder.
Yeah. So I am applying the condition on the remainder. If number divided by 2 is not equals to 1 or equals to 1, if the number is 1, then I want to print what? I want to print that number, right? Now, understood? Understood this? So these are just for
Yeah,
your
go ahead.
understanding. These are not needed. Here I am applying the condition and I am printing that particular number if that number is divisible by 2 and the remainder is 1. Okay. Now let me run. Okay. You see, leave these in between ones. Let's go. Yeah. So what is the first value?
One second, Nikhil. That number percentage 2, that is
Mhm.
equal to or not equal to?
This one equals to. If you are checking odd number, it should be 1. If you are checking even number, it
No,
should
no,
not
no.
be 1.
No, I'm asking about that sign. It's equal to sign or not equal to?
This one,
Equal to.
that is equals to. See here, if you are assigning a value to a number, then you should use a single equals to, because I want to store this 1 in this number, right? But if I want to compare one number with another number, then I have to use double equals to. I'm checking whether it is equals to or not.
Okay.
This is comparator operator.
Can I give the alias name there for that num percentage 2, something like Q or R in this the print command, and I can use that Q here? Can you do that?
This one?
No. Above line system.out print lane num percentage 2, right? Instead of
Okay,
that
here.
expression, can I give some variable there, like some alias name there?
Yeah, we can. Suppose I'll add this. So num divided by 2, it will be an integer.
Okay. Okay.
Quotient is equals to.
Got
Okay,
it.
I
Before
can
it's a
print
PL.
this. I can have it like this, or I can have it like this. But why to write two statements when we can write this directly in CISO statement? Unnecessary line,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So that's the reason I'm directly writing here. Right? So now when we run this, yeah, let's go. You see the quotient is 15. Why is it giving 15, 0 and 15? Okay, I know, I understand. So the first number is 30, right? When you divide 30 by 2, what will be the quotient? 2 15s are 30, right? So you see 15 and 0, 15. And then when divided by 2, the remainder is 0. This is quotient and this is remainder. Is it an odd number if the remainder is 0? No, right?
No.
It's an even number. So that is why it is not printing the number. Now again, it is going to 31 and it is checking. What will be the quotient? Can we divide 31 by 2 directly? No. So the quotient will be 15. 2 15s are 30. So 31 minus 30 is 1. So the remainder is 1. If the remainder is 1, it is called as an odd number, right? So you see, odd number is 31. Understood? And 32. 32 is an even number, so it is not printing the number. And then when we go to 33, the remainder is 1. So that is why it is printing odd number is 33. Understood? You just check this 31, 33, 35, 37, 39, and it goes on till 61. Okay, is that clear? Understood? Sharaf, Yanji, Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the basic things. Now we have printed the same statement multiple times. We have printed a different value each iteration, and then we have applied some condition inside of our loop, right? Okay. So this example just to show that we can increment a number by any number of times we want in this model. Okay, here it is incrementing only once, but if we use this, it is incrementing any number of times. And then in this, we are implementing some conditions inside the for loop again, just to verify this. You can write this. You can have if else statements, you can have switch case statements or whatever you want inside the for block. Okay, all right. Now the question is print numbers from say 999 to 960. So I want to print the numbers in reverse order, or I want to print it from 99 to 60. What should I do? For
Descending.
okay.
N
What
minus
is the initializer?
99.
Initializer number is equals to 99, and then what should be my condition?
Greater than or equal to 60.
Exactly, number should be greater than or equals to 60 and
Num minus 1.
exactly num is equals to num minus 1. So we are reducing by 1, so I can use num minus minus. That will be my decrement operation. Okay, say this is so, and then what should I want? Print the number. That's all. So now this is going to print the numbers in reverse order. Okay. This is
Can I
reverse order,
not
right?
give
If I
any descending order comment here
means
instead of writing for loop?
there is no descending order. See, in SQL you have a table, so you can print in descending order. But where do we have? Did we store anywhere the numbers from 99 to 60? No, right? So there is no ascending or descending here. In SQL we have it. In tables we have the columns, and then in the columns we have the values. SQL by default it can sort it in ascending or descending order and then can print it. So that is why you are using their descending. But here we do not have it. We are not storing the values, so we have to print it by reducing one value each time.
Okay.
Or similarly, if you want to store, see, I don't want to directly print these values. I want to store the numbers from 60 to 99 in something, and then I want to print it in reverse order. That you can do, but we have not reached there yet. That we can achieve when we are in collections. Okay, you can store these values in collections and then print the numbers in reverse order. That can also be done. But first we have to store these values. Okay. Understood? All right. Now let me run this. See, is it printing the values from 99 till 60? Whatever I said in reverse order, right? 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, blah, 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 and it is going till 60. So if you want to print in reverse order, then you can use this decremental operation. Okay. All right. Now a task for you. Task one is print odd numbers in reverse order range of 1125 to 999. This is a task for you. I want you to print the odd numbers in the range of 1125 to 999 in the same order. That means in reversal order, not from 999. You have to start it from 1125. Will you do it?
Okay, 2 block of statement, right? First we have to find the odd number, and then another block we have to do the reverse order.
Not needed. In the same thing you can do the reversal. If you are doing this decremental, it is going from up, reducing the value each time, right? Why do you need 2 blocks? You can have only one.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah, just try it once, you'll understand. Okay, so you understood the basics of for loop, that incremental, decremental, and then execution flow, right? Okay, so now some interesting things or some interesting facts about this for loop. Let's see. So if you take this or any example, the initial example, I said we are initializing, we are verifying the condition, and then we are having the incremental or decremental operation. But this, this incremental or decremental operation inside a for loop is not mandatory. It's optional. Though you don't have, for example, I will not give the task. So if I say that, if I give the task information, then you'll understand it easily. So that's why I just want to do something. I want to print int I is equals to 1, comma, I less than 10. Sorry, it's not comma, it's semicolon. Okay, I less than 10. It is not throwing an error. Is it throwing an error here? No, right? Okay, I want to print the numbers from 1 to 10. So I'll say I. Okay, so what are we expecting here? To print the numbers from 1 to 10. Let me run this. But is it stopping? It is continuously printing once, right? You're seeing the console, right? Bobby, share up. Yanji, are you following my screen?
Yeah.
So see, it is printing all the values continuously without stopping. You can see this execution is still going on. You see here the cursor, right? I don't want to print once n number of times. I want to print only 10 times, right? I want to print only 10 times, but it is iterating unlimited number of times, and then this will lead to your compiler error after some time of execution. Okay. So what's happening here? You
Here
understood the
you didn't give
execution?
any incremental condition. It's not mandatory.
Yes. It's not mandatory. That's what I'm saying. Increment or decrement is not mandatory in this syntax, because this for loop will assume that you are going to perform the increment or decrement operation inside the loop. Understood? So this for loop is assuming, if you are not writing here, it is assuming that, okay, this guy is performing the increment or decrement operation inside the loop. Until it comes here, it doesn't know that there is no incremental operation. But after coming here, it cannot go back, right? Java is a top-down language, top-down execution. It will come from up to top to bottom, but it cannot go from bottom to top again. Understood? So here it will think that, okay, this guy is implementing increment or decrement operation inside the block. Okay, it entered into the block and there is no increment or decrement. It cannot go back, or it cannot assign increment or decrement on its own. That is why it was, since we did not have any increment or decrement operation, it was printing unlimited number of times. You understood? So you can also have this increment or decrement operation inside the block if you are not having it on the for loop. Is that clear? Understood?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Inside or mandatorily if not in syntax. If you are not using it in syntax, you should mandatorily use it in inside the block somewhere. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, looping syntax and then initialization, the condition and incrementation or decrementation we have discussed. Printing same value, printing values in range, odd numbers, blind and logic, numbers in reverse order, and values of array. Okay, so do you want me to tell how do we print values from an array?
Yes.
That's pretty simple. You are okay. Now you have to tell me. I'll copy this array. Okay, I'm taking this array to our class. It's an array assigned with values, right? Numbers from array. Okay, so I want to print all the numbers, so I'm using for loop. Okay, so okay, for loop, first I should initialize int I. So what is the value that I should initialize with?
Index 0.
Exactly, index 0. If you see here, if I want to print any value or if I want to store any value, I'm using the starting position as index 0, right? So that is why I have to start with index 0. And then what will be the condition?
Index 0, 1, 2, 3.
0, 1, 2, 3. So less than 4 or less than or equals to 3. Anything is fine, right? And then I plus plus. Am I right? Okay. Now if I want to print a value from an array, what should I do? What should I do to print a value from an array? Come on. You see this? I'm using the array name and the index position. Right. So here also I'll use the array name. What is the array name? Contact names. And then what is the index position that I want to print?
2 or 1. 1 means 119 will come.
No, I want to print all the values from an array. Now, what is the index? Where are we storing the index values? Yeah, we have to use this. I. That's all. It will print all the values from an array. Now, let me run this. You see, 1213, 1214, 119, 108. Is it printing all the values? Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another number here, 98976 something. Now if I print, is it going to print all the values?
No.
No. We added a new value, but we have hard coded the maximum length as 3. So if you are adding new values to this array, is it going to print? Obviously no, we have just seen it is not printing the 4th value. So how can we make sure that we are printing all the values from this array? And you understood my point, right? So when the size of this array changes, or when the values in this, when the size of this array changes, that is not going to help this. So we use similar again for, I want to print the same values again. This I'll say using hard-coded position. Or index, not position, it will be index. Hard-coded index condition. Okay. Now here. Using actual index condition. Okay. Right. So initialization, will there be any change in the initialization?
No.
Okay. Int I is equals to 0. But in the condition, if we give this I is less than or equals to 3, we are having only 3 values. I mean 0, 1, 2, 3. But we have a 4th value. How do I get it?
Change it to 4, right?
That again we are hard coding, right? We are doing it manually. I don't want to
I
do it
plus-
manually.
I less than or equal to I plus.
No, not exactly. See, what is this actually? When you do not have this value, what is this? 3?
Maximum number. So
The size based on the number of elements in this array, you are finding
that
this. If there are 4, it is 3. If there are 5, it is 4. If there are 6, it is 4,
I minus
5.
1.
Right? So
I minus
if I, yeah, no, not I minus 1. I minus 1 will become minus 1. 0 minus 1 is minus 1. I is only specific to this. And speaking about the size of this array, how many elements are there in now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. So the index will end at 4. Size minus 1. Not I minus 1, it is size minus 1. Right? You understood the logic? Suppose now how many elements are there here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So the size of this array is when we are using this, what are these? Size, right? We have to mandatorily mention the number of elements, the size. So when you mention 3,
1 by 4.
yeah, when you mention 3, you are able to store 3 values, but that third value index position will be 2. That means size minus 1, right?
Yeah.
So here I have 4 values. Then the last index position will be 3.
3.
When I have 5 values, the last index position will be
4. 4.
But this change, this size change, we are not going to calculate it manually always. we have a method for getting the size of this array. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I less than contact names dot length. You see, contact names dot length. This is going to give us the size of this array. Understood? And then I plus plus. Instead of having this hard-coded length or hard-coded index position, I can use this contact names dot length. Understood? Because this contact names dot length is going to give us the size or the number of elements in an array. Clear? Now if I print this again, contact names of I. See here it is going to print only 4 values, but here it is going to print all the values. Let's see. You see, it is printing only 4, but here it is printing all the 5. Okay. Now I'll add one more thing. Okay. Again, I'll print. You see here it is fixed, but here it is automatically increasing. It is adding that value, newly added value. Understood? Understood, right? What's happening here? The length will always change, right? When you change the number of elements. So that is why it is able to pick all the values. Is that clear or not?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So it's already 8:20. Do you have any questions in today's topic? This for loop, incrementation, decrementation, printing, or any logic for odd numbers?
Yeah, I need help.
On?
It's Yanji and Rishi.
No, on what topic you need help, Bobby? On today's topic?
Just my
Your voice
query is
is
not running.
your query is not running. Okay, I'll check it. What about Sharap and Yanji? You have any questions in today's topic?
No.
Okay, fine. So I gave you one task already. There are other 3 tasks which I'm going to give you. Okay, these are the common tasks that I am giving you. One. All right. So these are the common tasks that you have to perform. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the 5. Okay, I'll do one. Make this as 5th. So these are all the 5 tasks that you have to do. Okay. I want you to print tables in this format. Any number, you take any number input from user and print from 17 ones or 17, or this is an example, x ones or x till 17 20s or 340. So from 1 till 20 in this format. I want you to print this in this format itself. Okay.
17th table.
Any table, you have to take this number as an input from the user, whatever. I mean, tomorrow I might tell 20 or 21 or 99 or 109 or 1001. It's up to you. You have to take that input value from the console, and whatever the number is entered by the user, we have to use that number and print that number's table. Understood?
Yeah, understood. That's why Yanji, Sharaf, we should have studied tables in school properly. Karma karma.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I'm just kidding, Nikhil.
Yeah. Okay. And then the second task is you have to store some values into an array from user input. That means from console. You request the user to enter some values into the array and then enter the values inside the console. That should be stored inside an array. And then after all the values are done, you have to display those values. See here, I'm linking the for loops along with the scanner class. Okay. And then next, print the odd numbers in a range in reverse order. That we already done, I think. We are already done. But here also, taking starting and ending range from user. So that range should be given by user. Okay. And then this one already, okay. Oh, yeah, the same question, this question, but here I mentioned the numbers, but here I'm asking you to take the inputs from the end user. So I'll just remove this fifth task, it's not needed. And fourth one, do you know what is minimum denominations task? You know what is meant by minimum denominations? Hello. Okay, fine. So these are the tasks for you. All right. Any questions in today's session? No? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Fine. Yeah, Bob, I'm stopping sharing my screen. I'll share this class file in the drive. You can get the exercises from there, everybody, and then perform these tasks. Okay. All right. I'm stopping sharing on my screen. You can share your screen, Bobby.
Can you like post this video as soon as possible?
Sure. Actually, this will be converted in Zoom format. It will be created in Zoom format. I have to convert it to MP4 and then paste it. So that's why it's taking a little time.
Okay, on YouTube, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And
Thank
YouTube
you.
also, it processes the video. So YouTube is also taking a little time.
Okay. Thank you.
How to share? I'm sharing my screen, but
Yeah, you are able. I'm able to see your screen.
okay.
Hmm.
If I run this,
There are already, I mean, your class is already showing some errors. You see this cross mark on line 18?
yeah.
That is an error. And you see, if you want to see whether it is, there are some compilation errors or not, you see before the name, it is giving a red color cross mark on the top, file name on the top. Yeah, you see? And then C6 iterations also having some issue on the class. That is second indication, right? That is second indication. And third indication is you see on the side, left side project explorer. You see there is a cross mark with red color on all the classes that you created. That is third indication. I'm going to tell. So these are the three indications that your code is not appropriate. Your code is not matching with the Java syntax, or your code is having some compilation issues. Okay. Now you see in the bottom console, what is the error it is saying?
Language error, unresolved compilation problem.
What is the compilation problem?
Something.
Syntax error. Insert flower brace to complete the class body. Class body. Right? Where is the class started?
Here.
Okay. Where is it ended?
Yeah.
Is that a class body closer? See, when you keep your cursor on line 18, where you see a box around the brace, on line number 5 or line number 3? No, at the end of this cursor, open it. Just observe, place your cursor at line number 18 beside the brace. Beside the brace, just place your cursor. Yeah, click there. Now observe on line number 5 where you have an open brace.
Yeah.
Okay. Now click somewhere else, or line number 17. Click line number 17 after that brace. So where is it showing the open block?
This one.
15. Okay. Now you have for this and you have for main method. But where is the closing brace for class? Do you have it?
How do I know? I didn't get it. So how do I figure it out?
In the console, it is clearly showing, right? You do not have a flower brace to complete the class body. That means you have not closed this class. Second
Okay.
line. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to check whether it is having or not. For suppose you press your cursor at line number 5 beside the brace. Beside the brace. Now you see it is showing you the closing brace.
Yeah.
Right. Similarly for the class also you need one. Now save it. The error will be gone. Gone. This exception we already learned.
What exception?
What is it? You see. What is the exception?
Index 3 out of bounds for length.
Length 3. So what are you doing there? Array index out of bounds exception. How many values do you have in contact numbers array?
Oh, okay.
You have only 3, but you are trying to print the index position 3. Will it come? Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is this error?
Open it. I can show you. You
Same
see,
thing?
already no. It is already showing here cross marks. There are 2 errors. There is one number variable, and then you have this duplicate variable. You see, I just requested screen control. Yeah, you see here this for loop. Where did you write? Inside this for loop.
Yeah.
So this for loop already has a variable called num, right? Then you are creating with the same name another variable. Will it allow? What is it saying? You just see.
Okay.
It's a duplicate value, right?
Yeah.
You see, duplicate local variable num. So since it's a duplicate value, it is throwing a compilation error. So you cannot have a duplicate value inside this for loop. I don't know why you wrote a for loop inside the for loop. It's okay. So if you have this, then you have to use another variable. You already have num. So now I'm using nums. Okay. See, the error is gone. Now you have another error over here. What is it? This is already closed.
Okay.
Okay, where it is closing? Where is it? You see, for the main method. Main method is already closed. And you are writing to you are trying to write something after the main method. Will it allow you to write? No. So you have to remove this extra brace. Gone?
Yeah.
This will be inside the main method. Now here again, this is your closure of this for loop. Okay, this if is closed here, and then this for is closed here, and then this for is closed here. So where you want to close this for loop actually? This for loop is ending here itself, right? And this is the closure of main method. Where did you close your class? You did not close it. Close it. Control A, Control Shift F. That's all. All the errors gone. Control save. Now you see red marks over here is gone. Red marks over here is gone. And red marks over this class also gone. Right? You are having problem with braces. You have to be sure while you are writing the code, please follow the syntax. You have to write, if there is an open brace and close brace, then that is called as a block. So all whatever is mentioned in between this open brace and close brace, that is belonging to this for block. You are opening the block, but you are not closing it. You are creating a class, but you are not closing it. Your compiler should know, or your compiler should understand from where to where is this class, from where to where is this for loop, right? So you can let your compiler know that this is starting from here and ending at here. That can be done only with the help of these braces. If you make these braces correctly, then everything looks good. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? So you also understood where to check if there is errors, right? If there are errors, you can check in the console what is that error and what you should do. All right. Any other questions? Yanji, Bobby, or Sharap?
Nikhil, actually, I couldn't unmute. That's why I couldn't ask question.
It's
When you
okay. I
are talking-
understood. I understood. Your cursor was moving continuously, so I just stopped sharing so that you can unmute.
Yeah. So this curly braces is little bit maybe by it come by practice. I don't know.
Not by practice, but by carefulness. So
Okay.
in the beginning class, I told you in Java, whatever you want to write. See, in Python, you know that if there is no indentation, it is going to throw compilation
Indentation,
error.
yeah.
But here it is not depending on indentation. It is depending on the block. You can show a block to Java with the help of flower braces, open and close. When you open it, you have to close it, right? You started a block, but you are not closing it.
Okay.
So whenever
But-
you are creating itself, you start with open and close so that you won't miss it.
Okay.
Okay.